Forgiveness is a transformational energy, you know, and it is something which is not understood. At least it took me a lot of time to understand forgiveness. For many, many years in my life, I used to live thinking that I have not done anything wrong. So why should I seek forgiveness? And partly it was also due to my ego, how it's sometimes difficult to go and seek forgiveness. So there were many misconceptions in my mind till I started to, begin to understand the power of forgiveness and start practicing forgiveness. And, that is when, with Superna offered to talk about forgiveness, I immediately took upon that opportunity to invite her to come and speak to all of us. Superna, as some of you may already know, is my teacher, and I underwent a course with her about six years back, and that completely transformed my life. And then after that, my wife joined, and we are all following her teachings, on a day-to-day basis. Suparna is a senior yoga acharya with over 15 years of experience teaching people in India and abroad. She is also a teacher's teacher, and she is a Louis Hay certified coach. And prior to starting her spiritual journey, she worked in the advertising industry for over 18 years. She's an alumnus of prestigious Sri Ram College of Commerce and Indian Institute of Mass Communications. So very diverse background, and very really fortunate to have you with us today, Suparna. Welcome to our show. Welcome to this session on mind forgiveness. We are a small community, as you know, of people who are curious about learning and practicing mindfulness. So we look forward to hearing from you on regarding forgiveness and how it can help people transform their lives.
So thank you, Ashish, very much for your very kind introduction. And I have to say that you've been such a willing and such a seeking student that you've received the benefits because of your own openness and your own willingness to receive something which you didn't know about, to receive something new. So good evening, good afternoon, everybody. And some of you may have met me earlier when I think I did a small session on relationships, was it a few weeks, maybe a month back or something. So today I'm going to be talking about forgiveness, which is, I think for me, the hardest lesson I ever learned. And I think for most of us, it's the hardest lesson we can really learn in our lifetime. It's not easy at all. It sounds, everybody talks about forgiveness, but true, authentic forgiveness is really difficult to achieve. And I've struggled, my own self in this area, and that's why I want to share with you what my insights are and what helped me transcend this whole big, this very, very tough area of forgiveness. So for me, the biggest game changer was that, when I changed my perspective, we've always been taught growing up, from our parents and people who influence us that, with the conditioning is that, forgiveness is about somebody else. It's like, we say, oh, I've forgiven somebody. So therefore I'm in a slightly higher place because I've forgiven. So it puts you in a slightly more superior kind of position. You're a noble person that I've forgiven. Okay. But a lot of times if we forgive like that, but that's really not authentic forgiving. It's a lot of times, if you really go deep within, it's a little superficial that you'd say, oh, when I maaf kiya, just because you want to appear very, very noble and generous and, large-hearted. But the shift is that, when we say that forgiveness is not about the other person, and that's what we've been given to believe, it's always about the other person, that we are forgiving the other person. But when you shift the perspective and say that the forgiveness is for my own self, okay? Because if I'm carrying old hurts and resentments from the past, which we all carry inside somewhere, even though we may say we've forgiven, but somewhere, we do still carry a lot of garbage from the past. If you're carrying that, then we can never flow freely in the present moment. Okay. And since all of you practice mindfulness, which is all about the present moment, that our present moment gets all completely mucked up because we're carrying literally the baggage and the heaviness of the past, all the old hurts, resentments, which we may think that we have forgiven, but somewhere, it does stay. That there is some semblance of it which comes up, because whenever you feel that you're not experiencing peace of mind, you don't feel joyful, you don't feel light, you don't feel happy, and something is coming in the way, it's usually that some kind of forgiveness is still incomplete. Okay, so if you change the perspective that I'm doing it for my own self, for my own freedom, for my own peace of mind, for my own good health, then the whole game changes. It's not really about the other person. Sometimes, we offer forgiveness and the other person may not even know. The other person may be just dead and gone. But if you've forgiven, from your own heart, then you will feel that freedom. It doesn't matter whether that person knows or doesn't know at all. So that, for me, that was a big shift in perspective. That is for me, it's not for anybody else. It's for my freedom, my peace of mind, my good health, and my happiness. Okay, because until authentic forgiveness is done, we'll always find ourselves not feeling free, not feeling light. Our relationships will be impacted also if the forgiveness is not there. It'll impact every area of your life. So that's how important it is to really give up all that heaviness and the baggage that we keep carrying on, and really, who are we hurting? We are hurting ourselves. The other person may not even know, or may not even give a damn, really, about all of that, but you're carrying on that load, right? So it's really about myself. That is the first most important thing that I want to drive home, which really made sense to me. That's when the penny dropped, that it doesn't matter about the other person. The other person may not know whether I've forgiven, not forgiven. It's really to free my own self. That's the most important point. And a lot of times people say, oh, but why should I forgive? A lot of us feel justified in not forgiving. We sit in this prison of self-righteous resentment, that we're right to feel like that, this we're right to feel hurt. We feel justified in feeling the way we are feeling. Okay, and we feel that by forgiving somebody, we're letting that person off the hook. We're actually condoning that person's behavior or actions, and we're accepting that bad behavior. It's really not about that. Like I said, it's not about the other person, it's about your own freedom. It's about giving up your own story and your own attachment to that particular incident or to that person. Okay, so it's really about that. So we're not condoning it, we're not accepting that behavior. We may choose not to interact with that person also in the long run. Once we've given it up and we let it go, all our hurt, resentment, we may choose not to have any contact with the person, which is your own choice. Okay, so it's not really about the other person. um, so if I can put it like this, forgiveness is actually the most precious gift that you can give yourself. It's a gift of freedom, it's a gift of good health. Because I also want to tell you that how, in the Louise philosophy, we talk about the mind body connection, that a lot of our emotions and a lot of our emotional and mental patterns actually impact our physical health. Okay, you may have heard of the mind body connection. Everybody's talking a lot about it. But in the Louise philosophy that I teach, it's a very, very big chunk of what we teach, that every physical condition that you go through, any disease, any illness, is actually a culmination of your own mental and thought patterns. And forgiveness is the most unforgiveness is the most deadly emotional pattern that you can have, which will invite a lot of just undesirable physical conditions, diseases as severe as cancer. And it's been researched actually scientifically. And Louise herself was a victim of cancer. That if old hurts and resentments are carried on for many, many years, they actually turn into tumors in your body and end up in cancer. That's how terrible of a situation, a state of unforgiveness can be from a physical health point of view. So it's not just about our peace of mind and how we feel and all the emotional and mental stuff, but it can be very damaging for our physical health as well. So it's really like, it's out of loving and caring for ourselves, which is the other aspect of the Louise philosophy. She talks about a lot about forgiveness, about the mind body connection. And another pillar of her teaching, which some of you may be familiar with, is loving and accepting yourself. And actually, forgiveness and self love or loving yourself goes hand in hand. Because you know the until we can break through that doorway to love. Okay, sometimes we feel stuck. We feel that there's something blocking love flowing into our lives, and we having the capacity to give love. So whenever we find the doorway to love stuck in our lives, if you really look deep within, chances are that there's some level of forgiveness that needs to be completed, which you may have thought is complete, but somewhere there is some debris or some garbage from the past that we are carrying still in our hearts, and that only we know. Okay, nobody else knows, because on the face of it, we may have said we've forgiven, but inside it's a different story. Okay, so therefore, when we feel that, love is not flowing in and out of our lives, we're not able to receive love, give love, it could be because some amount of forgiveness is still blocking that whole flow of love in and out. Okay, so it's really important. Self love and forgiveness go hand in hand. If we find it very difficult to forgive, to come to a place of forgiveness, its chances are that you will find it also difficult to love and accept yourself. Also, related to this is the aspect of self love, self forgiveness, which is very difficult. Sometimes we find it easier to forgive other people, but we are very, very hard on ourselves. We are very, we are just very, very unkind to ourselves. We're not willing to forgive ourselves, and therefore, for something that we may have done or not done, we feel, we are carrying all the guilt and we're carrying the guilt and regret from the past, and therefore, since we are continuing to carry that guilt and regrets from the past, it's very difficult for us to love and accept ourselves. How can you love and accept yourself when you're feeling guilty about something else, something that you did, you're feeling terrible about it? So therefore, it's really important to give up that guilt, to come to a place of forgiveness for your own self. And from there only you can truly love and accept yourself. Otherwise, when you say, I love and accept myself, it may be superficial. Okay, you may be doing things for yourself and being, pampering yourself, but that's not really what loving and accepting yourself is. Loving and accepting is completely, accepting each and every part of yourself, good, bad, ugly, all of it. That's really what true acceptance is, not just accepting the good parts of ourselves. So that's the other thing, that if we're carrying that guilt and regret, we're not forgiving ourselves. That's very difficult. That becomes a block in loving and accepting ourselves. So these are two actually major pillars in the Louise philosophy: forgiveness and loving and accepting yourself. And until these two happen, they're actually related. We'll find ourselves challenged in some area of our life, some area or the other. It could be relationships, it could be finances, it could be health, it could be work. Somewhere or the other, we'll find ourselves, being stuck. So it's really important that, we do this work of forgiveness. And what I'm going to be doing slightly later, in the afternoon, maybe after 10-15 minutes, I'm going to be leading you through a guided visualization, which may help you access, the deeper insides of your own self, and to really delve deeper in terms of where is it that you're not, or who is it that you're not forgiving, and that may help you. At least the journey will start. So that's basically it. And any questions you have at this stage? Anybody has any questions? I can, handle it right now.
So I'd like to go first, Suparna,
Yeah,
while
yeah.
we're waiting from others to ask. So you mentioned, very rightly, that it's a very powerful practice and is a pillar of the Louis philosophy, and we should forgive ourselves and forgive others. But
Yeah.
how does one go? Should I say I forgive myself, or should I say I forgive you? What's the way to do it, or just I say I'm sorry? Should I say sorry to myself or to somebody? How does one go about it? And is there a certain prescribed number of times you should do it, or every time I make a mistake, or at the end of the day I should review my day and say sorry to what do you?
Yeah, actually, there are many tools to do it. As you would be aware, Ashish, one is a very simple way, which is affirmations. That's simply saying that I forgive myself for whatever X, and I set myself free. Or if it's for somebody else, just repeating that affirmation, that I forgive so and so for whatever was done. I set that person free, and in the process, I set myself free. So that is one tool that we use. The other tool is mirror work. That, you just, if you have to forgive yourself, just go to the mirror and just stand in front of the mirror and just say, I forgive you, and I'm willing to accept you just the way you are. I forgive you for whatever you may feel. And you can even forgive the other person in front of the mirror, which is a very powerful technique in the Louise philosophy, which is called mirror work. That you actually do affirmations in front of mirror, you do forgiveness work in front of the mirror. And the third thing, the third way that you can is that I'll be guiding you through this meditation. Doing a guided visualization like this every now and then is really going to help you release. It's not something that will happen overnight. It is such a hard issue which has been, which has been accumulating over many years, sometimes decades, sometimes even lifetimes, that it's not that in one doing one affirmation or just going to the mirror once, it's not magic. It is something that you have to keep repeating on a daily basis until it actually comes from your heart. Initially, sometimes when we do affirmations or even mirror work, you find yourself feeling very fake about it. Like initially, when even I, many years back, when I started doing affirmations, I used to feel that, oh, I felt like a fraud. But over a period of time, when you keep repeating it at the expense of saying initially that I feel fake, it will become a kind of a thought pattern. And when thought patterns change, that's how things change around you. So it's when your consciousness changes, that's when you see changes in the environment. When your thought patterns and beliefs change, that's when things change around you. So similarly, affirmations need to be repeated over a period of time until they become your really sort of default setting, default mode, that they come naturally to you, they become your thought pattern. That's when you see things changing. Forgiveness, like I said, is a very hard lesson, and it doesn't happen over just one affirmation or one whatever. It's got to be a daily practice. It's like, if I can say that, it's like brushing your teeth. Every day there's something new or somebody new to forgive, like it's maybe somebody from the past, but every day things happen. All the things don't have to be major, but there's sometimes even daily annoying, you get annoyed daily at a daily basis. So even that you need to deal with, the daily people who irritate you, and you need to, forgive them, or forgive yourself for reacting in a particular way. A lot of times we react in a particular way, which later we feel bad about. So it's really important to be kind and gentle with ourselves, saying that, it's okay, I messed up. I'm doing the best I can. Just like everybody's doing the best they can, I'm also doing the best I can. So that's really, the way forward.
Sure.
Instead of beating yourself up and being really unkind to yourself, because a lot of times we we don't, we're very unkind to ourselves, and we don't let ourselves off the hook. So that's really important, and that's all about loving and appreciating and approving of yourself, is, just being patient with yourself. Yeah.
Thanks, Suparna, for that very detailed response. Audience, this is the time for opportunity for you to ask questions, because after the meditation, Suparna will be rushing off for our next session. So if you have any questions now, please type in the chat or unmute yourself and ask them. Until you are thinking of your questions, I'll like to ask another one to Suparna. Suparna, you mentioned a very important point that, whenever you are stuck in your life, whether it is for love or finances or, career, or work, it maybe somewhere we need to forgive someone.
Yeah.
And like, is there anything like, if I'm feeling stuck in this area, I need to do this forgiveness, or it's overall, I just keep saying I'm sorry, or what's your suggestion? How does one do that?
So anytime you're feeling stuck in
Or what
anything.
happens? How saying forgiveness releases the blocks and opens up the way for abundance.
Okay, so anytime you're feeling stuck in any area of your life, you actually need to spend some quiet time with yourself and really see which aspect, or what person or what experience are you still holding on to. Okay, and if you're very honest with yourself, it could be in any area. It could be even with a parent. It could be some very old issue. And so just look back and say, what is it that I'm still holding on to? What is it that's causing me this contracted feeling? I'm feeling, contracted and feeling not at ease. I feel I'm not flowing. There's something that is, blocking you, and you will, if you spend some quiet moment yourself, maybe just quietly sitting and watching your breath, you will find, you will be able to locate as to what is that area. And once you become aware of what that area of unforgiveness is, which you're still something which you're still holding on to from the past, you can begin to heal that. And the way to heal it is like the practices I told you, that you do affirmations like, I I forgive X, whoever that X is, for Y, whatever that person did. I set that person free. I set you free, and I set myself free. So that's really the affirmation, and how you need to deal with it. And you could do that in front of the mirror, write it down. Writing affirmations is very powerful. If you write it down many times over, it just becomes very deeply embedded in your consciousness. So that's really the way forward. And then of course there are many other tools, and which, like, I'm doing a workshop next weekend on forgiveness, and we go very, very deep in that area, and we do a lot of work in terms of guided meditations. We do a lot of journaling work, a lot of writing work, etc., to really release it. So there are many other techniques which you can learn as well.
Sure. Suparna, you mentioned you're doing a workshop where you will be talking more about how to do
Yeah,
forgiveness.
yeah.
So, if people, the people who are the audience who is here, they want to connect with you, is there any number or email where they can reach out to you? You?
Yeah, actually, Ashish, what you can do is, maybe if you have a group, you can share my, that the flyer I have and all
Okay,
the
okay,
details.
okay,
And it's
okay.
got all the details. You can just put it
Sure.
down on that group. That's easy
Yeah,
for
but
me.
there are some people who have joined us from who are not a part of the community, Suparna. So,
Okay.
is it okay if you put out, or we can put out your number here?
Yeah, yeah. You can put it on the chat. Maybe one of your
Okay.
staff can put it on the chat. Yeah.
Okay, sure, sure.
Yeah.
And so, friends, maybe this is the last call for a question before we get into the meditation. If you have any question, comment, uh, uh, query, please type it in the chat or unmute yourself. Uh, so there is a question from Sanjeev Suparna. He is asking how to handle situations reappearing to shake your mental balance through the same person, although you have forgiven him. So he has forgiven a person, but that person is continuing to do the same thing over and over again. So how do you handle that situation?
Sanjeev, if you're still getting bothered by that, if there's still some feeling of resentment and anger within you, that means that complete forgiveness may not have been done. Although you may have said that I've forgiven the person, but I think that pattern still has not broken, which means that you may need to go a little deeper into forgiveness work. My reckoning is that maybe the forgiveness, as you say, may not be complete. You're still holding on to something, and that's why that person is doing it again and again and again. So which is actually a sign for you to look deeper within and say, have I done it completely or not? Because sometimes the outer, whatever's happening in your environment, is actually a reflection of your inner world. So if there is still some, what can I say, some malice, or some negative energy about that person or that situation, chances are that you will invite that same behavior again. That's all I can say right now. But like I said, sometimes we say I've forgiven, but then it's not very deep, the forgiveness. And maybe after you do the guided meditation, we can talk again, and you can tell me how you feel after the guided meditation, because I feel that that may help.
Fair enough. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good point for us to get into the guided meditation, Suparna. And maybe after the meditation, one or two questions have come. We can
Sure.
take them and then we can.
Sure. Yeah, before we do the guided meditation, I just wanted to share a very interesting metaphor about forgiveness to you, and it made a lot of sense to me, and I thought I'll share it with you. It's almost like, you're sitting in a prison because you're not letting go of that person. You're still holding on to old hurts, resentments from the past. So you're actually just stuck to that. So what's happening is, it's almost like, if it's almost like you're a jailer, and you're actually guarding a prisoner who's in a cell, and you've locked up the prisoner, okay, because of whatever he or she did. But what's happening is, since you're sitting there as a jailer, you're also as much in prison, because you can't get up and go. So therefore that person is locked, and so are you. So that's the whole idea, to free yourself, that you're as much locked up as the other person you've locked up. So therefore, let that person free, and you let yourself free. That's the whole thing. Because to me, this whole metaphor of me being the jailer and the other person being the prisoner, and I'm sitting outside guarding the person, therefore I'm also equally in prison. That really, that's really my perspective, and what made sense to me as far as forgiveness is concerned. So now we can start with the meditation.
Sure.
So Ashish, we're not doing the music, right?
No.
Okay. So everybody just get into a comfortable position, whatever, if you're in a seated position, or uh, it's also okay to lie down. That's also perfectly okay, but you should be very relaxed. And just be alert. Try not to go to sleep in the next, it may be slightly long, 15, 20 minutes. So it's very important for you to be very comfortable wherever you are, whether seated or whether you want to just lie down in Shavasana. So just keep your body relaxed completely. And just soften your entire body, relax your back, soften the shoulders, soften your neck, soften all your facial muscles, relax your forehead, relax your scalp, relax your head. Completely loosen and soften all parts of your body. And now bring your awareness to your breath. Feel the breath moving in and out of your body effortlessly, easily. Feel the breath move in and out of your nostrils. Notice the cool breath going in through your nostrils and warm breath coming out of the nostrils. Just be aware of your own breath moving in and out easily and effortlessly through your body. If the mind wanders, bring it back to your breath. And with each inhalation, tell yourself in your mind, I am. And as you exhale, tell yourself in your mind, relaxing. Inhaling, I am. Exhaling, relaxing. Say that a few more times on your own. Synchronizing the simple affirmation, I am relaxing, along with your breath. Now let's take a little journey to cleanse the pockets of bitterness and hurt that still reside within us. Try and visualize as I guide you through the visualization. Imagine walking down a valley. Going down is symbolic of going into your subconscious mind to do the clearing work. As you descend into the valley, you notice how very beautiful it is. Lush, green, and fresh. Just imagine flowers everywhere, birds and butterflies, trees, and a gentle stream flowing. Just make a mental picture. Find a comfortable place to sit on the bank of the stream. Settle down and just relax. It's so peaceful and safe here. It's a perfect place of forgiving and letting go. Now ask yourself in your mind, what is the hardest thing for me to forgive? Who's the hardest person for me to forgive? Just be honest with yourself and be aware of whatever and whoever comes spontaneously into your mind. Give yourself a few moments and see what comes up spontaneously and intuitively for you. Now remember the pain that the incident or the person caused you. Just be aware of that. And try and observe and see where in the physical body, in your physical body, are you carrying that pain? How long have you been carrying that pain? In this safe place now, allow yourself to take the pain out of your body and hold it in your hands. Imagine it's tangible. Just see how big is the pain. What color is it? Does it have a sound, a taste, a smell? Do you really want to keep this any longer? Are you willing to let it go now? Now gently place this pain in the stream and watch the current carry it forward and dissolve it and take it away. All that hurt and suffering and the heaviness of the past is being dispersed away. It's dissolving away, drifting away out of your sight. Feel the water flowing against your hands, washing them clean. Notice how light you feel after releasing all that old junk. Now take another incident. Be aware of the pain and the bitterness you're still holding on to. Simply observe the feelings. Take a breath and step back and try and see the incident from the other person's point of view. How does it look? Does it look the same? Now take another mindful breath and look at the situation from the observer's point of view, someone who's just watching both of you and is totally objective. Is that also another point of view? Every time you look at the situation from a different angle, you get a different reaction. Who's right and who's wrong? Is anyone really right or wrong? Now let's take this entire incident, the other person, the old you, and the observer, and let them all gently submerge into the stream. Just visualize all of it just dissolving and disappearing out of your sight into the stream. Just let it go. Let it slip away until it has drifted away from your sight and from your emotional grasp. Give yourself a moment of peace on the bank of the river. Just breathe simply and notice how you're feeling now. If you want, you can lay back against the grass and breathe. Who is the hardest person to forgive and why? If you really wanted to forgive this person, you know that you could, and you always have a choice. Then what is holding you back from releasing this person and the incident? What is it that you want to hold on to? Do you like playing a victim? Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Ask yourself. You've held this pain long enough and now it is safe enough for you to let it go. What is it that you'll be willing to give in return for releasing this negativity? Could you give understanding for the abandonment that you may have suffered? Could you give compassion for betrayal? Could you give acceptance for rejection? Could you just forget and let it go? Just remember that they were all doing the best that they could with the knowledge, understanding, and awareness that they had at that time. They were all victims of their own conditioning. They really didn't know any better. Are you willing to release your own limiting beliefs which prevent you from leading the life that you deserve? Beliefs like, I'm not good enough. Are you willing to give it up? I'm undeserving. I'm unworthy. Can you change it all and say to yourself, I deserve all good. I'm enough just the way I am. I'm worth cherishing. I'm worth loving. How willing are you to give up these old limiting beliefs and ideas for the new freedom and forgiveness, for the new freedom that forgiveness can bring to you? Once again, release all this pain, drop all the resentment and bitterness into the stream. Let the person go. Release them. Set them free. And say to them, I forgive you for not being the way I wanted you to be. Or you could say, I forgive you for abandoning me. I forgive you for betraying my trust. Or you could even say something like, I forgive you for not being there for me when I wanted you to be there. I release you. I forgive you. And I set you free. And I set my own self free. And let the whole experience go now. Wash yourself free of all the debris, all the garbage of the past. Observe all the blocks, all the barriers, all the beliefs just drifting down the stream, dissolving away. You're washed, you're cleansed, and you are free. At any time, you can go within and find other places where unforgiveness resides. You can take each person and each incident and hold them in your hands and look at them and decide whether you want to release them and set yourself free now. Now bring your awareness to anyone else who you have been bearing a grievance or have any bitterness about. Just visualize looking into the person's eyes and saying to that person, I forgive you and I set you free. I forgive you and I set myself free. And now place each one of them in the stream and watch them dissolve and drift away. Just let them go, let it all go. A lot of times it's easier to forgive others but it is the hardest to forgive ourselves. We are so hard on ourselves and punish ourselves for things we may have done in the past, which we regret, and we still carry the guilt around. Where have you made yourself wrong, and where do you find it hard to forgive yourself? Just ask yourself. Are you willing to let yourself off the hook? Are you willing to be kind and gentle and patient with yourself? Just know that you were doing the best that you could with the understanding, awareness, and knowledge you had at that time. So allow yourself to let it go. Place a heavy load of regret and guilt in the stream and watch it dissolve away and drift away out of your sight. Now you can step down into the stream for a moment. Step yourself down into the stream. Feel the cool water. Let yourself be totally immersed in the cool waters and then stand up in the water and declare for yourself, I forgive myself and I set myself free. And then say to yourself, I forgive, I am forgiven, and I'm free. Your mind, your heart, your entire being has been cleansed of all the negative debris of the past. The weight is lifted away. You can see all the weight, the baggage of the past simply floating away, never to return. What a relief, what a joy, what freedom. As you come up the bank, notice how light and free you feel. The sunshine looks brighter and it dries you instantly. The colors and sounds are more vivid and vibrant. The world is much more beautiful now. And you know that you're entitled to miracles. Now that you're free, what miracle would you like? Look within yourself and see what it is that you would have liked to create for yourself. And know that it's possible now because forgiveness creates miracles in our lives. As you walk up out of the valley, leaving all the old patterns, all the limiting beliefs, all the stuff from the past behind, feel the spaciousness in your heart, feel the love overflowing from your heart. There is nothing to stop it now. You feel so peaceful now, so free, so willing to love, so willing to be loved. You feel so alive. You have forgiven and you have been forgiven. Life looks so good now. And you know that all is well in your world. And so it is. Take a few moments, stay in the inner space, and once you feel ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the space. You can give yourself a nice stretch if you'd like to, and then open your eyes whenever you're ready. So anybody wants to share what the experience was of this guided meditation visualization? Anybody like to share anything? That would be good. Anything you experienced, anything new that came up for you, any new discovery, any new
So,
insight?
Mr. Naveen Jan says it was a fantastic experience, Suparna.
Thank you. Any other questions, observations? I'll be happy to
Friends, Suparna will
answer.
need to leave in next 5 minutes, so please share your
Yeah.
questions, comments, queries. So while we are waiting for some comments to come, Suparna, I would like to share my experience. It was a very deep meditation. I felt something move inside my body around the heart region. Does that happen? Is that like some kind of as if the weight has been lifted up? Is that normal for people to feel like that, or
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes like that's why in the meditation I brought your awareness to your body, that where in your physical body are you carrying
yeah,
that burden or that baggage, and therefore something lifting off meant that you've been able to release some of that burden which was still a residue. Sometimes, like I said, you think you are free of it, but you're actually not. You're still carrying some residue. So the fact you felt something lifting off, there was some heaviness in your heart, which maybe something moved over there. So that's wonderful, and it's a very good sign.
thanks, Suparna. Ruchi says feeling light. Mr. Naveen Jan says no baggage now. My heart is functioning much smoother.
Thank
So
you.
yeah,
Like like this kind of an exercise, this meditation or affirmation, this actually is a daily practice. Like I said, just in one sort of sitting or one session, it's not going to just disappear, but at least this way you make a beginning, that if there's any heaviness still left from the past, you identify it. Otherwise you'll think that I've sorted it out, and it's actually not sorted out. If it's still if you're still feeling heavy, that means there's something that you still are carrying from the past. And that's why in the present moment you're not able to flow freely, because you're carrying some baggage. So yeah.
Suparna, we have a comment from Pavan Garg. He says, brilliant session.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Pavan.
So while we are waiting for some comments, is it okay if I go with one question, Suparna?
Yes.
So you did answer this earlier, but for the sake of everybody, I would like to ask this question once again. Do I need to go and say I am sorry, or just writing it or thinking it is enough, or do I, because sometimes people say, no, I can't really go up to that person and say
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
how
yeah.
does this work? Yeah.
So yeah, so sometimes you're still in a state of unforgiveness with a certain person, dead or alive. Definitely, if the person is dead, you can't go to the person. But it may be somebody you've lost contact with, but you're still holding that heaviness. So it's not important for you to confront that person, because sometimes it's not advisable. Sometimes it's not possible for you to confront that person or say it in person, and that's not important. Like I said, it's about yourself. It's about setting yourself free. So the forgiveness has to happen in your own heart. It doesn't matter whether the person hears it or not. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's to do with you, and you have to offer that forgiveness in your heart through affirmations, definitely through mirror work. And one more technique I can suggest, which I which is part of my workshop which I'm doing next week, which anybody can do. It's called a letter, a letter technique, that you write a letter to that person, which you may not even mail to that person. You don't mail it to that person. You write that letter, and be as don't hold back. Be as expressive as you can. All the anger, all the bitterness that you've been holding, write it down. Tell that person that, I'm very upset with you because of this happened. I'm very upset that you betrayed me, or whatever the reasons are. Okay, whatever. And don't hold back. Be as expressive. You four letter words also. It doesn't matter. So it's perfectly okay, but you need to get it out of your system. If you don't, it'll impact your physical health. It'll sit in your physical body, in a pain or any kind of ailment or something. You really need to get that emotion out. So write that letter in very strong words or whatever, and in the end you say, after writing whatever you had to write, and it's a very powerful technique. I would really urge all of you to try it. you write it, and you don't have to mail it or anything, so no need to be scared or anything. So just write it down, and then in the end you say, but however, I'm willing to forgive you, because I for my own self, because I want to set myself free. However, I'm feeling willing to forgive you, because I know that whatever you did, you were doing to the best of your knowledge or awareness and whatever resources you had. So I'm willing to forgive you and let you go. So end that letter with that, but say whatever in whichever language as expressive. And then after you're done with it, you can burn the letter or you can tear it into little bits. It's like, it's like a symbolic way of saying I released it. So,
That's a very powerful share,
so
Suparna, that you write it,
it's
whatever
very
you're
powerful.
feeling, express your
Yeah,
full feelings, and
yeah,
that letter need not be posted. After you have written
yeah,
it out, you can burn it, or you can
yeah,
tear it, or you can
yeah.
just chuck it, but express everything out and say that,
Everything out.
yeah, at the end of
And,
it, say, yeah, that
and
I,
ended by saying, however, I'm still willing to forgive you and set you free.
yeah,
Ended with that. It's a very, very powerful technique. And, this is another technique which Louise had propagated. It's very, very powerful. So you can try this writing of a letter and burning it, or just tearing it into little shreds. It's like symbolic of I'm letting it go now. It's over and it's done with, and I'm releasing it. So
sure.
that's another tip I can give you.
Yeah. Sure, Suparna, we have got some comments. Sanjeev Munjal says it was a floating experience, felt very much relieved and relaxed. Thanks for your time.
Yeah,
Uh, Manas says it's tough to let go, but worth a try.
it's
So
worth
I
a
think
try.
it
Absolutely.
motivated someone to try it now and
Yeah,
change his life. Dr. Juhi Sharma says,
yeah.
Suparna, thank you for such a wonderful experience. I'm full of gratitude for you.
Thank you very much, and you can stay in touch with me. I think all my details are there in the chat,
Yes, yes.
and maybe Ashish, you can post that flyer and all my
I'll do that.
details.
Yes.
And whenever you feel called to, or whenever you feel drawn to experiencing a live workshop where we actually sort of cleanse you completely from within, do reach out to me, or you can even let Ashish know, whatever. So thanks so much.
Yeah.
I have another meeting to get into. So thanks so much for your patience, for your time and your presence, and thank you very much, Ashish, for having me over. Thank you, Ruchi, and thank you your staff, Ashish. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon again. Thank you so
Sure,
much.
sure. Thank you, Suparna. I really appreciate your taking out time. And friends, thank you everyone for joining us for this wonderful session today. For some of you are already in touch with us on social media, but those who are not connected with us can connect us with us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on the YouTube. The links are there in the chat. Please stay connected. And for those of you who would like to learn more about forgiveness and how this powerful practice can transform your life, you can connect with Suparna on her email or on the phone number that we just mentioned here. Thank you, everybody, for joining.